A battle is brewing on the heels of the New Year's Eve storm that swept through San Francisco. Mayor London Breed has accused the National Weather Service of misleading city officials into a false sense of security ahead of the storm. But the NWS is firing back, saying it alerted local officials about the storm as far back as December 21st. You can read more about it in this article from our media partners at the SF Standard. Joining us live now to talk more about this is Kevin Nguyen, the reporter for the Standard who wrote this article. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kamasi.
Okay, so how did you first learn about this?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember the context heading in. Businesses and residents that were barely picking themselves up from the last heavy rain that slammed the city on New Year's Eve. They were all wondering why the city wasn't as prepared as it had been during previous rains. So, of course, when we're all watching Mayor London Breed's emergency press conference on Tuesday, she opened her remarks by effectively answering that question by claiming that officials were misled by the National Weather Service.
But you found the National Weather Service said, not so fast. We did what we needed to do. What did you find as far as their communications with the city of San Francisco?
Yeah, so we took the mayor and city officials' claims to the National Weather Service, and they responded by sharing that they actually communicated the direness of the situation, as you mentioned, 10 days before it happened. They told the public that a significant rain event that would bring high impacts and hazardous conditions was coming. And in the week leading up to that storm, Kamasi, they also emailed local officials daily briefings and presented at the city's New Year's Eve planning meeting. And that was on December 28th, 3 days before it came. So the intel was there, is what they showed us.
So do you think this is a situation just evolving information, or do you feel like it was pretty clear what the city and its residents should expect?
Yeah, that's certainly what the city officials' position is here. They said it was a dynamic situation, and I can certainly, it's easy to take shots at the mayor now, but we can certainly empathize that weather models are, pretty dynamic and fast-moving, but the warning was there, and it's still not entirely clear why the city didn't take it more seriously.
All right, so let's talk about what the city is saying now. We heard from the city's Department of Emergency Management. What's the stance today?
Yeah, well, obviously they are acting out of an abundance of caution. They've learned a really hard lesson over New Year's Eve, but they didn't really say sorry. When we reached them for comment last night, the mayor's office and the Department of Emergency Management both said that they did not intend to be critical of their National Weather Service partners, but they do stand by their interpretation of the intel and that they thought, or they did not anticipate this much rain would come.
When you look at this video of what people went through, they might say, okay, this back and forth, it's cute or whatever, but what about being prepared for the next time? What about the communication between, these agencies that we rely on for our safety? Where do you think it stands right now?
Yeah, city officials have a lot of questions to answer after they're done responding to this current storm. I think what really matters here is that, residents have been saying for years that their neighborhoods are routinely flooded, even when the weather isn't this bad. So I think this nitpicking about, the inches of rain, like you guys said, it was going to be 3 inches. It ended up being 6. I think that really misses the point.
Yeah. So where do you think the communication goes from here? Or what do you think the next steps do you anticipate within this relationship?
Yeah, well, I think both sides are being very cordial with each other. They certainly, I don't think the National Weather Service appreciated being taking the blame initially on Tuesday, but I think really the focus has got to be on the city's antiquated sewer system, which has been litigated for over a decade, and projects are only now finally underway to get those updated. So until that happens, these floods are going to keep happening, and that's, I think, the big takeaway people should remember.
Talk to me more about that. I know you've done a lot of research preparing for this article, and I know you'll be following up and seeing where this goes. But talk about the city's systems and the issues that people have been really complaining about for years.
Yeah. I spoke to businesses that have told me that they've gone through 4 of these types of floods in the last decade. And really, it doesn't take a historic weather event to have this much flooding happen, and that's the reason behind that is the San Francisco's sewer system, just like the city, is also very antiquated and old. We are one of the only cities outside of like downtown Sacramento that funnels sewage water and storm water in the same drain, so the pipes get really backed up. And if the water doesn't get you from the outside, it actually comes back up from the inside, is what I've learned.
Well, we appreciate the research you've done. I know you'll be following up on this story to see if changes will be made. And so thank you so much for joining us.